This episode of the Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by our proud sponsors, Thrive Fantasy, Built Bar, and ExpressVPN. Now, using promo code DTSN, our listeners can get $20 bonus cash on a deposit of at least $20 on Thrive Fantasy, 10% off their Built Bar protein bar order, and 35% off their ExpressVPN annual subscription. Once again, all you have to do is use the promo code DTSN and tell them the Downtown Rams podcast sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Aaron Donald creates the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Wood, touchdown. Picked off by John Johnson. Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson.
Everett in stride. Wow! LA will play for the Lombardi.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Downtown Rams podcast. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me, as always, is Alexis Kraft. It's episode 336. We're doing a Rams-Jets preview, but before we get into the Rams-Jets preview, we've brought someone over from behind enemy lines this time, but he's a friend of the show. It goes back to his rookie year. He was the Rams Rookie of the Year. He sacked Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, strip-sacked Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. John Franklin Myers, how's it going, my friend? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate the invite, man. It's going good out here in this cold weather. Can't complain.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely that time of year where stepping outside is just like getting slapped in the face by 30 degree to 20 degree to 15 degree weather, at least where I'm at. So I totally understand that. But yeah, just to start this off, I just kind of wanted to check in and ask how everything is going, playing for the Jets, and, how your season has gone so far.
I mean, obviously, wins and losses aren't there, but, I get a chance to perfect my craft, get a chance to work with these guys. I can't say nothing bad about, any of my teammates, working with Quinnen, working with Henry Anderson, Foley. We got a good group of D linemen. Nathan Shepard's another one, some good rookies. So just to get a chance to get better with them and, continue to try to turn this thing around is, what we look forward to each and every day.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really good, defensive line room, and it may not be your year this year, but, you guys have talent, and, it's going to come around the corner, and I'm glad to see you getting the reps that you've, received, but kind of, steering over a little bit, because it's a little bit of an unprecedented season with COVID-19 and everything. Can you explain what this whole season has been like with this unprecedented, the COVID-19 protocols and everything that you have to follow?
Obviously it's a little different. But at the end of the day, this is a job just like any other job, you or I have. And, they give us these certain rules and they tell us this is what you have to do in order to do your job. And that's part of the job description. We all signed up for it. So, obviously the daily COVID testing, the mask all the time, even at practice, the wearing the Connect sound device, all the, it's kind of, you kind of look at it as like redundant or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's part of our job. And, I don't know about you or anybody else, but I'm trying to get paid and do this thing for my family and myself. So, as good as I can.
For sure. And, this season, you've been able to rack up almost 400 snaps going into week 15. So what has that meant to you?
Oh, no, again, I appreciate the Jets for the opportunity. They're giving me the chance to go out there and show what I can do. So each and every day, again, I'm trying to get better, help my teammates get better, help the rookies get better each and every day. So, again, I appreciate the Jets for the opportunity. I'm trying to make the most of it.
Yeah, of course, and you definitely have. You've turned it on this year. It's not a shock to really any Rams fan that paid attention in 2018, but nonetheless, now we kind of have to talk a little bit about your former team, the Rams. You are a friend of the show. you came on here before, like I said, before you even played it down in the NFL, and you ended up being the 2018 Rookie of the Year for the Rams. What was that 2018 rookie year like? You know, we haven't really had an opportunity to talk via podcast since, so I'm definitely interested, you know, looking back on that, because it was a phenomenal year for you. When your number was called, you know, you made something happen, including the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something that you dream about. You get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. You get a chance to play with guys like Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, all on our D-line. Dante Fowler's another guy. And, you know, you learn so much, you get better, and you just find yourself in good positions being with all those players. So, you know, I give them all the credit, you know, that people try to give me just because, you know, hey, I mean, I think anybody go out there and make plays when you got those guys playing with you. And that's just what it was, you know. So I go out there and try to get better each and every day by listening to them, taking the words of wisdom from them, and trying to apply that to my game every day.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, that season was obviously huge for the Rams. It was huge for you. You know, we talk about that big sack on Tom Brady and being named Rams Rookie of the Year. And then, you know, I think it came as a shock to me and to everyone else, frankly, everyone who's a Rams fan, when you got cut and were picked up by another team. I know it was certainly devastating for me and Jake because we're big fans and also Rams fans. But, you know, I just, you know, out of curiosity, was that a shock to you, or what was going through your mind when that happened?
I mean, you know, in the business of the NFL, you know, you understand that it's a business at the end of the day. You know, moves were made within the organization, and it just ended up not working out. You know, we got a new D-line coach. We changed some things around, and unexpectedly some things, it just didn't work out. You know, towards the end of the training camp, I kind of started seeing, obviously the last preseason game, I played almost the whole game, which my rookie year, I didn't play any of preseason, you know, so I kind of seen like, all right, like I see what's going on here, but let me go out here and let me just continue to get better. Let me not let this affect me or my game, and just, you know, again, put some good stuff on tape, and I'll continue to do that with every opportunity that I get.
Yeah, you know, you really handled it well. I obviously reached out to you like right after I found out you were cut, and you had nothing but good things to say about the organization and just the fans, and you know, you're just obviously really humble and blessed for the opportunity. I do have to ask you though, because everyone wonders this. Now, when the Rams cut you, did they at least intend to bring you back onto their practice squad? Did that conversation ever happen?
Yeah, and they told me that that's what they wanted to do. I mean, it's one of those things where if I had no job or no chance, then yeah, you know, that's something I would do. But to be in a position that I was in, I mean, they kind of even said, they were like, we probably won't get a chance to bring you back because of the rookie year you had, but you know, if we do, we would like to do that. And they were saying, you know, I guess there was different rules with IR where they had to make the opening day roster and then cut them to bring somebody else up, you know, to put them on IR or whatnot. It was just some, I don't know how true or not it was, but it ended up, you know, they released me. And hey, again, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now if it wasn't for that. So I don't look at it as a negative thing. You know, I learned a lot while I was there. I got a chance to come here and apply it. I got a chance to come here and, you know, talk to Quentin about some of this stuff, Foley, Nathan Shepard, you know, Jabbar is another guy. A lot of these, you know, younger guys who, you know, may not understand, you know, what it takes, may not understand, you know, how to take their game to the next level. I took some of that stuff that I learned there, and I used that, you know, to help these guys here. And I think that adds value to me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a really great way of looking at it, and a really good perspective and totally true. And then you kind of talk about the IR a little bit, which in 2019, you spent a lot of time on injured reserve. And, the 2019 season, wasn't your season for that reason. And then you get to go into this season, you could say fresh and ready to go. Do you think that kind of spending time on IR in 2019, kind of taking a step back has helped your development at all for this season?
I think out of everything, it might have humbled me. Mm-hmm. Because you go to a new team. I practiced the first 3 weeks, and that was part of the reason why it didn't work out with the Rams, is because I got injured in training camp and didn't really sit out for it when I should have. But, it humbled me when I got to the Jets. I was able to put enough stuff on tape in practice and show them that I can, have good pass rushes when they gave me the opportunity. But then they made the decision to put me on IR. I had to watch, my teammates going each and every day. And, while I couldn't walk on the trail, I couldn't do anything, they wouldn't allow me to. So now I'm like, you know what, it's a mess up situation, but, I could grow from this, so instead of, pouting or whatnot, I just was like, you know what, let me give everybody the knowledge that I have, let me put my best into watching this film and showing them, how I break down the offensive lineman, how I break down this film, how I was taught from Aaron Donald and my coaches, Michael Brockers and Dominican Sue, what we do on and off the field, and I think some of these things help me, and I think they can help others. So that was more of my role during the season while I wasn't able to play. And again, I think my coaches were appreciative of that. They showed, and every time, I was able to practice, I just went out there and I try to put good stuff on tape, and, I will continue to do that.
Absolutely. And, I think that's definitely the right way to approach that for sure. And, obviously shows kind of the leader and the role model that you are going to, really become for this football team. That, in my opinion, I think they definitely need somebody like that. So, you can step up into that role long term. And, I'm happy for you in that regard. But, of course, you're playing the LA Rams for the first time since they cut you. It's in the new stadium, which you may have been able to play in if things were different. How much does this game on Sunday mean to you? Because this is the first time you're playing against your old team, and obviously I don't think you thought it would be this early in your career either.
Oh, without a doubt. And that kind of adds some fuel to the fire just because, it happened prematurely, before I was ready or any of my family was ready. I had to move across the country in a day's notice. But, obviously there's some want to go out there and get revenge. But, again, I don't really care about none of that stuff. I'm in a good position here. And, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my best to help my team win and, go out there, do the same thing I do each and every week and go out there, give it my all, help my teammates make plays and me make plays, and we'll go from there and see what happens. There's no bitter feelings. I'll go there and I'll, give them handshakes, give them hugs, talk to the players, coaches, whatnot. But, when the ball snaps, hey, we ain't friends and I don't know you, and that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, totally. No, totally understand that mindset. And that kind of goes into my next question, because I was going to ask if you still talk to any of your former Rams teammates, and if so, who and what that relationship is like. And as you said, I'm sure when you step on the field, you're mortal enemies and you're going to go hard. But then, after the game, it's going to be all love again.
Without a doubt. I talked to the whole D-line there. We're still in group messages right now. We talk in there probably every day or every other day. So, there's never been bad feelings or, I was never bitter about the situation. Obviously, it's a business move and I'm here, they're there. Handshakes, hugs again. And, I get a chance to see them. I just talked to them the other day. And they do a good job. We all watch each other's film. We talk to each other about that. what we do good, what we do bad. Aaron Donald just texted me, like a week or two ago, about some of my stuff and what I could do to improve my game. And that just kind of shows, like, the type of people that they have in their organization, they're selfless people. Again, I have nothing bad to say about those guys. Those are some of my good friends still.
Oh, absolutely. And I totally hear you. And I know I've said this multiple times and Alexis has, but you've really handled this the right way. And, it says a lot about your character. I'm not shocked because this is the first thing I took away. You made a great first impression on the show. And I think, after you came on our show, you had a lot of, lifelong fans moving forward. There's people constantly always, including myself, always like, well, what if the Rams traded for John Franklin Myers or something? It's like you have a lot of fans here, and that's not going to go away. And, at the end of the day, I've been watching as much as I can in what you're doing, and I'm not shocked at all, to be honest with you. Obviously you can play. You played on the grandest stage. Again, I think it was a very questionable decision to let you go. And, looking at this defense now, I'm just wondering what it would be like with you in it. But it's neither here nor there. You're doing a really nice job, and, I'll be rooting for you no matter what. But last question here for you, John. As you finish up your third year in the NFL, what advice would you give for an incoming NFL draft prospect about acclimating to the league?
I think kind of the same thing that I tell even the young guys here is, find what works for you and stick with it. You get a chance to play with whatever team you go to, there's a vet in that room. There's a vet that understands the business, understands, on and off the field what you can do to improve. And, to get around that vet and just learn as much as possible, I think is going to serve any rookie well. That's the same thing I would tell my younger self is, hang around Aaron Donald more, which, I did so much of. We watched film together every, 3 times a week, leading up to each game. So we worked out extra. We did all these extra things. So I did that, but I wish I would have done more of it, and that same thing I try to tell these younger guys here is like, there's no kissing somebody's ass in this business. There's finding ways to improve each and every day. And if that means talking to these guys and asking them how they do certain things, then you got to do that. Whatever it takes to improve is what you need to do. And that's the same thing I do. I talk to our offensive linemen and say, hey, am I giving this stuff away? Hey, how did you know I was going to do that? How can I get better at this move? I do things like that because that's how I improve my game. That's how I'm able to help my team win at the end of the day and help my teammates make plays. So each and every day, I try to talk to these young guys and just give them more and more knowledge, And Dominican Stu taught me a lot off the field. Aaron Donald, Michael Barker's taught me a lot on the field, playing D tackle. And then Dante Fowler taught me how to play DN. So, I'm paying that forward, and I'm giving these younger guys a chance to learn as much as possible while I'm learning.
Yeah, I love that. And I totally agree with that advice. And, Jake and I talk to a lot of incoming NFL draft prospects on the show every year during draft season. And that's advice I'd give them as well. It's just always surround yourself with people who are more experienced than you and better than you. And I think there's like a saying where it's, try to not be the smartest person in the room. Go find people who are smarter than you and more experienced than you and learn from them and absorb that information. So I love that advice, and I totally agree with it. But John, thank you so much for coming on the show. It means a lot. We're going to be watching you, and although we're cheering for the Rams, we will be cheering for your personal success on Sunday and hoping that you play well. And yeah, again, just thank you for coming on. My fellow 96 kid. 1996, we're the best.
Without a doubt. No, I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you guys. I look forward to the next time. Again, you guys have my number. I'm willing to talk whenever. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, John. Really appreciate you keeping it real and, not getting too big for our show.
Oh, never that. Never that. Don't worry about that one. You got my number. Call, text anytime.
You got it, my man. You take care and stay healthy.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed. That was a lot of fun for us. John, if those of you who didn't understand what I was talking about and may have not heard the show until recently, back in 2018 when the Rams drafted John Franklin Myers in the 4th round, I invited him onto the show. He agreed, and it was a fun time. Ever since then, we've been friends. We text here and there and, keep in touch. And so, it was really cool to be able to reach out to him last week, ask him to come on the show, for the Rams and Jets game. And, he agreed to do it. So we've done it before. I had Kyle Sloter on, the last time the Rams played the Vikings. And then this time, we have John Franklin Myers. Always fun to get friends of the show, but John Franklin Myers is somebody that I definitely, one of my favorite players that I've ever come across. Somebody that's, obviously you heard him, he's very humble, somebody that definitely, appreciates the fans, and, he's a down-to-earth guy, and obviously that speaks volumes just based on the fact he was able to come back on the show. So, with that being said, though, this is the Rams and Jets preview show. Alexis and John are off, and it's just me. Alexis had to go, and of course John had to go, because John can't break down his own team and can't talk about the game plan, obviously. Not even saying that I asked him to do that, I'm just saying I know how this works. So, with that being said, though, the Rams and Jets, you have the 0-13 Jets taking on the 9-4 Rams in LA. So if you skipped through, you definitely should go back and listen to the whole interview. But if you did, the Rams are playing the Jets. It's John Franklin Myers' return to LA. But it's a little bit more than that. Obviously, there are more players on the field. It was awesome to get John on, but there's a lot to unpack here. And hear me out. I understand the Jets are 0-13, but they have had games where it was like, this could be a scare. They almost beat the Raiders. So if the Rams aren't careful, they could end up being the one loss, or rather the one win, the Jets are really looking for. Because at this point, they're probably the worst team to play, out of all of the lower teams, because those teams aren't really playing for anything. They're just playing for pride. The Jets are just playing for the win, and they're going to go hard at it. Make no mistake. I mean, you have a guy like Frank Gore that wants to get a win before he retires. So this could be his last year. So, you're going to have guys like that. But just kind of looking and giving you an idea of what the Rams are dealing with. You have quarterback Sam Darnold. He is obviously going to be the starter. At running back, you have 3 guys that will be used: Ty Johnson, Josh Adams, and Frank Gore. Unfortunately, LaMichael Pirine, the running back they got out of Florida in the draft this past season, he is out. He's on IR. Then they have Brashad Perriman, Denzel Mims, Vincent Smith, Lawrence Cager, Jeff Smith, and then they have Jamison Crowder and Braxton Berrios, the former Patriot, in the slot. Of course, at offense, on the offensive line, they have a first-round pick in Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. They have Pat Elflein at left guard, Connor McGovern. They have Connor McDermott, and then they have George Fant, who they recently spent a lot of money on in free agency. They also have Chuma Edoga, who was a teammate of Sam Darnold's at USC. On top of that, at tight end, Christopher Herndon. They have Ryan Griffin, Daniel Brown, and Trayvon Wesco. For those of you who are on the West Coast who watch California, Trayvon Wesco was somebody that I really liked coming out of the draft in 2019 out of Cal. So that's a name there. On the defensive side of the ball, they use somewhat of a rotation here with Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Henry Anderson, Nathan Shepard's been getting a lot of playing time, former third rounder. And then Trayvon Coley, who they got over from Arizona. Terrell Basham, Jabari Zuniga, who is a rookie third-round pick out of Florida. Neville Hewitt, Harvey Langley, former Ram Bryce Hager is also on this roster with Frankie Louvu. And then in the back end of the secondary, they let Pierre Desir go, another friend of the podcast, sadly. They let him go. He's with the Ravens now on their practice squad. But they have been able to give more of an opportunity to Lamar Jackson. No, not the Lamar Jackson on Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, the corner. So they've been able to give some opportunities to him. They have Bless Austin, the corner as well. Bryce Hall, their 5th round pick, they've been giving a lot of reps to lately. Javelin Guidry as well. And then Arthur Maule. And then, really when you look at this back end, I mean, they have some talent there for the long term. Then you have Marcus, you have Marcus May, and, you have Matthias Farley as well as Elijah Campbell. And then Corey Ballantyne, who they got off waivers from the Giants. So that's the Jets in a nutshell. They have some pieces. Obviously, Brashad Perriman can be something, can really take the top off of defense. Denzel Mims is the guy that was drafted after Van Jefferson. A lot of Rams fans wanted him in the draft, 2nd-round pick out of Baylor. And Jamison Crowder is somebody that, can definitely be used all over the field, but he operates mainly in the slot. Mekhi Becton is a monster at left tackle. He's a big, big left tackle, and he's going to be, I believe, the bookend left tackle for the New York Jets for years to come. Sam Darnold is a quarterback I like. Things haven't been all smooth for him, but I still think he is a very solid quarterback. I think he's got a lot of talent and a lot of potential still left to that's untapped. And, I think he'll find that at some point. Maybe not this year, obviously, but he'll find that at some point. Ty Johnson's been playing good football lately. And then I really like their defensive line with Henry Anderson, John Franklin Myers, Nathan Shepard, and Quinnen Williams. Really like, obviously, the year John Franklin Myers is having. Henry Anderson has been pretty key for them coming from Indianapolis. And then Quinnen Williams, I mean, what can you say about him? The former 1st-round pick from 2019. Teams were talking about trading for him. You don't trade Quinnen Williams. I mean, he's going to be a franchise player. And then Nathan Shepard, who I really liked. I saw him at the Senior Bowl, 2018 3rd-round pick. I just think, for me, you look at this team, they have a lot of pieces that you can build on moving forward. They're an 0-13 team, I get that, but they have talent on this roster. They just have to fill out the other positions, and I think they obviously, you could argue, need a new coach. Not trying to say too much to get John in trouble on the show, but that's what I'll say. So, with the Rams coming into this game, they have an opportunity. I'm not going to predict a blowout because when I predict a blowout, it doesn't happen. But what I will say is that with the Rams, they have an opportunity to get some reps to guys like Bryson Hopkins, to guys like Van Jefferson, to guys like Xavier Jones, Raymond Calais. I mean, they have an opportunity to get reps to a lot of these guys in a game where, this could get out of hand. I'm not going to lie. And if Jared Goff has 4 touchdowns at half and the Rams are up by 4 touchdowns or what have you, you could see John Wolford in. You could see Bryce Perkins. Bryce Perkins hasn't been activated for this game, but I wouldn't be shocked if he is activated as a practice squad member that can play on Sunday. If he's designated as such, I wouldn't be surprised because, the fact of the matter is this is somebody that in a game where if you go up big time on the Jets, you don't necessarily want your starters to play. You don't want to get your starters hurt in a meaningless game. So once you have the game, looks like it's pretty much won. If that's the case, I'm not saying it's 100% going to be a case, but if that is the case, then you definitely want to consider, having your backup come in John Wolford, see what he has against NFL competition, and then having Bryce Perkins in case, Wolford were to get hurt. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Really want to see some Bryson Hopkins if it does get to that. Former 4th round pick out of this last draft from Purdue. Would like to see him get involved. But I think this is an opportunity for the Rams to get their offense in order. Look, it is not the best defense in the world. This isn't the best football team in the world. But this is an opportunity to get your offense in order. This is an offense that should be scoring way more. they're fifth in offensive yards per game. And at the end of the day, I just think that they have fallen shorter than what they can be. And I've said this, before about multiple teams. There's a lot of teams this year that are struggling on defense, that are defensively, well put together on paper, right? So you have your paper tiger defenses and the Browns, who on paper that defense looks really good. The Titans with Mike Vrabel as their head coach, defensive-minded head coach, you'd think they would be good. You have teams like that. The Bills, they have not been the most defensive team. I thought they were the best defense coming into the season with a defensive-minded head coach in Sean McDermott. Well, you see what I'm getting at here. I'm not talking about the Rams' defense by any stretch, the best defense in football. I'm talking about the Rams' offense. Now, the offense hasn't been terrible. It's not like it's, so bad. But the point is, the Rams' offense is a paper tiger at the moment. They can be a lot more, they should be a lot better than what they are. And what I'm thinking is those defenses that I mentioned, if a Bills team really wants to win a Super Bowl, they're going to have that paper tiger defense wake up and turn into a tiger. Same thing with the Titans, and same thing with the Browns. And maybe neither of the three teams do, but I think one of them will. And I do think with the Rams offense, I think they're going to wake up. I really do. I've been saying it for a while. I've seen the signs. And this is an opportunity to really spark that. They can build off this performance, get ready for Seattle. And this is an opportunity. You're back at home. The Rams really need to make do with this. And so, I think that this is a perfect opportunity to get your offense in order. You run the football with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, see what you can get going there. And then if you establish the run, just go to the play action passing attack, get Goff comfortable, let him start to put up points on the board, and get this offense back to where it was. It's not going to be 2018 offense. I don't think there's enough talent. You could argue Akers could end up being as dynamic, or maybe not as dynamic as Todd Gurley, but he could be kind of like that, but it's not fair for him to be Todd Gurley, in his rookie year. So they don't have a Todd Gurley. They don't have a 2,000, yards from scrimmage guy. So in return, they're not going to be a 2018 Rams offense. But they can be very good, and they can be one of the best offenses in football, which is what I expected them to be. So it is a little bit of a shame in a sense, but like I said, they can get things going to the playoffs, figuring out their offense. And guys, when you get to the playoffs, you wipe that slate clean. Everyone has the same record, 0-0, until you lose or until you win. So it's all about getting there. The Rams are 99% certain if they beat the Jets on Sunday, they are in the playoffs, win and you're in scenario. And it's very simple. If the Rams beat the Jets, they make the playoffs. After that, now that they're in the playoffs, they're playing for seeding. And if they get the number 1 seed, they get a bye, which would be huge, a first-round bye. They're the only team in the NFC that would get a first-round bye due to the way everything is working out. And if they don't get the first seed, then they can get the second or third seed, which would change, who they play, of course. But I think the thing here, the very important thing here is that the slate is wiped clean. You haven't been an offensive team the way you could. Well, you can change that, in the playoffs, and the Rams are going to need to, I think. With that great defense, I think they really need to give them a true offense. Obviously, they're chewing up clock, and they're doing a nice job of controlling the game flow, but, they need to put points on the board. And don't get me wrong, a lot of that has to do with a below 80% field goal percentage conversion rate when they've been in the zone to kick field goals, put 3 points on the board, and didn't get that early on with Sam Sloman. That does hurt their points per game total. It does. It hurts their points per game average. But now that that's knock on wood fixed, you really want to see that offense start to put you want to see them start to score touchdowns. I know it sounds simple, but you really want to see that moving forward. So this game, the Rams can clinch. For those of you who like a flashback, the last time the Rams played the Jets, I saw the game. It was 2016, and it was one of the worst games I've ever seen, and unfortunately I was in person. They won 9-6. It was Case Keenum versus Bryce Petty. And Bryce Petty threw a game-losing interception, or rather game-sealing interception, to Alec Ogletree. In that game, Johnny Hecker had an incredible 78-yard punt that I don't think I'll ever see again. That was just unbelievable. Jalen Marshall, the punt returner, had to run back 20 to 30 yards just to get it. Still incredible that he got it. The leading rusher was Matt Forte of the Jets with 96 yards, and Kenny Britt had over 100 yards for the Rams. He was the leading receiver. But aside from that, that's a game to forget. The next year I did go to MetLife and watch the Rams hang a 51 total on the Giants, so it felt a little bit better that time. But that was also Jeff Fisher's last win as an NFL head coach. That was also the last win, or forget about win. It was the last game until the Rams dove into the Jared Goff era head first. They had an opportunity to win the next game in LA against the Dolphins. And obviously the crazy monsoon rain, of course, go figure, when Jared Goff's making his debut and, carrying Jarvis Landry 10 yards into the end zone, the Dolphins did. It was definitely a weird one, but this is the last game before, the Rams dove in headfirst in the Jared Goff era. And things are so much different now since they last faced. The Rams were 4-5. The Jets, I believe, were 3-6 or 3-7. So, they were still somewhat in the thick of things. Now the Rams are win-and-you're-in playoff team, and the Jets are 0-13, hoping to not go 0-16. But again, if you happen to be a Jets fan listening to this, I do think they have talent. Plus, they're going to have, maybe the number one overall draft pick, so things could change there. Whether you trade it or get Sam Darnold or trade Sam Darnold or whatever you do, you have an opportunity to really make the most of such a poor down season. But that is really all I have, folks, to preview the Rams and Jets. Final score I'm going to say is 34-14. And I'm probably being nice in that regard, but the Rams have not put up 40 yet. I don't think they're going to do that. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'll say 34-12. I think, the Jets will get 4 field goals. So that is that. And, in this game, stat prediction-wise, I think you're going to see a lot more of Van Jefferson in this game. I think you're going to see a lot more of Bryson Hopkins in this game, Cam Akers. I think the draft picks will have an opportunity to do something in this one. This will be a Cam Akers game for sure. I think Jared Goff. My prediction is he'll leave the game probably in the fourth quarter. And get John Wolford some playing time, and then the Jets will kick 2 field goals in the fourth quarter or something along those lines with the backups in. But that's how I see it, and it could go completely different. I'm not saying that's how it'll work, but the Rams, they come away with the W. They go 10-4, and with a loss, the Saints lose to Kansas City. If that happens, all of a sudden that number 1 seed starts to get a little interesting, and you really have to tune in with the Packers. Obviously this Saturday before they play, you have to tune in and see what the Packers do against the Panthers, and then moving forward what they do with the Titans next week. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We were really excited to bring you this episode. We teased it on Twitter, very, very subtle. Just kind of threw John Franklin Myers strip sack Tom Brady post up there. I think some people understood the reference and put 2 and 2 together. Others I don't think did. But it's fine. You guys are listening to it now. Appreciate you. For Jake Ellenbogen, she is Alexis Kraft, although she's not here right now, but she was, and he's also John Franklin Myers, JFM. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be back to talk about this game after this game. Thanks again, guys, and you guys take care. Go Rams.